Hello everyone! Last time we delved into the fascinating tale of the lowland frogman, a truly peculiar creature. Today we're shifting our focus to the mysterious Congo Basin, where we'll explore the legend of the elusive cryptid known as Mokele-Mbembe. Let's dive right into it. Mokele-Mbembe is a legendary creature from Central African folklore, particularly associated with the Congo River Basin. Its name, derived from the Lingala language, translates to "one who stops the flow of rivers", possibly referencing its immense size and the disruption it causes in watercourses. The creature has long fascinated cryptozoologists and researchers, often being described resembling a sauropod dinosaur. An early account of a large animal in Western Congo, believed by some cryptozoologists to be an early Mokele-Mbembe report, dates back to 1776. Missionaries in West Africa reported tracks about 3 feet in circumference, with a 7 to 8 foot gap between them. Bernard Heuvelmans later suggested the tracks might belong to a large water lion, but most cryptozoologists classified them as a possible Mokele-Mbembe sighting. In 1913, Ludwig von Stein described the creature during the Likwala-Congo expedition in northern Congo. Although the expedition was cut short by World War I, Stein sent his notes to Wilhelm Bolch, who included them in his 1929 work, Dragons, Legend and Science, and was described as a large herbivorous creature with a long flexible neck, a single tooth, and a muscular tail like an alligator's. It was said to live in caves along riverbanks and attack canoes. In 1934, an anonymous Belgian reported a similar creature in the Kasai Basin, calling it the Sanki. It is described in the same way, with the addition of having a crest. Modern interest was sparked by Roy P. McCall's 1980 expedition to the Congo. Locals confirmed sightings of the creature, and McCall found its preferred food, the Molomboliana. Despite its diet, it is described as aggressive, capable of overturning canoes and attacking other animals. It is believed to be crepuscular, feeding at dusk or dawn, and sightings are most common during the dry season. The most popular theory regarding Mokele-Mbembe is that it is a surviving species of a sauropod dinosaur, a group of long-necked, herbivorous dinosaurs that lived during the Mesozoic era. The idea is that a small population of these creatures may have survived extinction and now live in remote areas of Central Africa. However, many scientists believe that sightings of Mokele-Mbembe could be attributed to misidentifications of known animals such as elephants, hippos, or large reptiles. Mainstream scientists are generally skeptical of Mokele-Mbembe's existence, citing the lack of physical evidence such as bones or remains. Many of the sightings are considered to be based on misidentifications or hoaxes, but the absence of concrete evidence makes the existence of Mokele-Mbembe highly improbable. Mokele-Mbembe has made appearances in various books, documentaries, and television programs, often portrayed as a real creature that might still exist. It has also inspired fictional works, including novels and movies that explore the possibility of surviving dinosaurs or ancient creatures living in hidden parts of the world. I finally arrived in the Likwala region, drawn by whispered tales of an elusive creature, Mokele-Mbembe. For years, these stories have lingered in my mind, a blend of myth and mystery. Locals speak of it with a mix of fear and reverence, a long-necked beast, territorial and dangerous, set to guard these remote waterways. Getting here wasn't easy. The journey had tested every ounce of my resolve. The roads leading into the region were little more than muddy trails. Days of travel by truck were followed by grueling trek on foot, where every step seemed to sink into the swampy terrain. My boots were perpetually soaked, my body battered by swarms of insects that seemed immune to repellents. The oppressive humidity clung to me like a second skin, and the air was thick with the scent of decay and wet earth. The locals had warned me repeatedly against venturing into the swamps alone. They spoke of overturned canoes, man dragged beneath the water, and a creature so fierce it claimed the swamp as its own. But warnings had never stopped me before. I've come too far to turn back now. I traveled by canoe, paddling through narrow waterways, flanked by towering mangroves and tangled vines. Every ripple in the water made my heart race. Was it a crocodile, a hippo, or something else entirely? The deeper I went, the more I felt the weight of wilderness pressing in on me. The air grew quieter, the jungle sounds muffled as though the swamp itself were holding its breath. After hours of paddling, I stumbled upon a peculiar sight, a massive indentation in the muddy riverbank, flanked by claw marks. It looked like something enormous had burrowed into the earth, carving out a shelter large enough to house a creature of considerable size. Pulling my canoe ashore, I approached cautiously. The mud was fresh, still damp from recent activity. Crushed vegetation and deep grooves in the ground told the story of a massive creature dragging itself through the muck. My heart raced as I followed the tracks, each step a mixture of fear and exhilaration. As night fell, the swamp came alive with the calls of countless creatures. I set up a small camp by the riverbank, sitting by the fire and listening to the symphony of the wilderness. Every shadow seemed to move, every sound a potential threat. I waited, straining to hear something, anything, that would signal its arrival. And then, just before dawn, it came. The water rippled, then parted as dark shape emerged. At first I thought it was a crocodile or a large frog, but it kept rising from the depths, a long, wrinkled neck, topped with a crest-like structure, glinted into the moonlight. Its neck alone was over 2 meters long, ending in a sharp, beak-like mouth. Its faintly glowing eyes reflected the firelight as they locked onto me. This was no ordinary animal. This was Mokele-Mbembe. The creature moved closer, displacing the water in slow, deliberate waves. Its presence was palpable, radiating an ancient power. It stopped a few meters from the shore, watching me with an intensity that made the air feel heavy. I didn't dare to move. Instinctively I knew that any sudden action could provoke it. As I studied it, I couldn't help but notice the creature's aggressive potential. Although it had initially seemed curious, there was an undeniable air of threat, and its stance remained tense, as though ready to spring into action at any provocation. A low growl reverberated from deep within its chest, a warning that resonated through the air like a drumbeat. The ground beneath me seemed to vibrate with the force of its power, and I felt a chill creeping up my spine. This was no passive creature. Its strength, combined with its keen awareness, made it clear that any attempt to get too close would be met with a swift and merciless retaliation. In that moment I understood, while it may have not attacked me outright, it could easily destroy me if it chose to. I was an intruder in its world, and it was watching, waiting, and ready to defend its territory with lethal precision. Minutes stretched into eternity as we stared at each other. Slowly I took a few steps back, trying to show I meant no harm. Soon the creature turned and slid back into the water, disappearing as quickly as it had appeared. Any rational person would have fled, but I couldn't. I had to know more. I followed its trail at first light, my heart pounding with both fear and excitement. By the time I caught up to it, daylight revealed the truth. What I thought was a mythical creature was in fact a giant turtle. The tooth described in local legends was its sharp beak-like mouth. Its crest resembled the keratin casque of a cassowary, while its tail, though not long, was thick and lined with crocodile-like scutes. I watched it lumber into land, towering at nearly 4 meters tall. It was a colossal presence. Its weight I estimated was around 2 tons, a massive, living relic of bygone era. Its long neck wasn't for reaching high foliage, but for grazing over a wide area without expending too much energy. Its shell, smooth and not particularly thick, bore a few sharp, pike-like scutes. Its legs, sturdy and tree trunk-like, ended in feet similar to rhinos, with claws that were blunt rather than sharp. The turtle reminded me of something ancient. I began to piece together a theory. The creature bore a striking resemblance to Neolamia, an extinct genus of giant turtles that once roamed South America thousands of years ago. Like the creature I had seen, the Neolamia was massive, with a sturdy shell, horns and powerful limbs. Could this be a distant relative? Could the swamps of Likwala region have served as a hidden sanctuary for this ancient lineage, allowing it to survive and adapt over millennia? Over millions of years, evolution might have shaped this creature into what I had encountered. The crest on its head, similar to cassowary casque, could have developed as means of display or communication. Its thick, crocodile-like tail and a smooth shell might have been adaptations for navigating the swamp's murky waters, but its most remarkable adaptation was its ability to vanish. The swamp was its domain, and it knew every inch of it. Whenever it felt threatened or needed to rest, it could sink into the murky waters, its dark coloration blending it perfectly with the shadows beneath the surface. This made it almost impossible to track. Even with my canoe and consistent diligence, hours of paddling would often lead to nothing but ripples in water, or fleeting glimpses of movement in the distance. The creature's habitat itself was a challenge. The swamp was a labyrinth of narrow channels, dense vegetation, and stagnant pools. Every corner felt like a dead end, and the oppressive silence often played tricks on my mind. The water was thick and opaque, hiding whatever lay beneath. It was no wonder the locals spoke of it with such fear. Here the creature was untouchable, a ghost in the water. Finding it had been one of the hardest things I've ever done. It might have been pure luck that I succeeded, but the challenge only deepened my respect for the creature and its environment. The swamp wasn't just its home, it was its shield, a fortress of mud and water that had protected it from the prying eyes of the modern world. I'm leaving the swamp today. The locals were right, the creature doesn't just live here, it's a guardian. I glanced back at the swamp one last time. The water was still and the jungle quiet, but I knew it was out there, watching, waiting, and that was enough for me. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you really enjoyed the video. A big thanks to all of my 360 subscribers. Your support means the world. The last video hitting over 1,000 views is truly insane, and I'm incredibly grateful for each and every one of you. A special thanks to Madlimus Zoik for his ongoing support in making this all possible, and to Chunky Cog for contributing some amazing art for this video. Stay tuned, there's more to come very soon. Take care and see you in the next one.